Whatever. Season 6.
Hey guys, I'm Bob West, and today we're looking at Destiel in Season 6 of Supernatural. This is part 5 in a 16-part deep dive into my ever-evolving feelings on the subject of Destiel. I try to upload this roughly every Thursday with other videos in between. Some of you following my Ko-fi account know that there was supposed to be another video before this one on John Winchester, but as I was coming up on Thursday, I had to switch order, so that video should be out in the next few days. Before I start, I wanted to comment on what I imagine will be a permanent and recurring factor in these videos. It's just the fact that I've watched the show for 8 years and I've come across some interviews and behind the scenes footage, sure, and so forth, but I have by no means extensively researched Destiel. My opinions come from me watching the show and drawing my own conclusions, paired with what I know of the industry on a whole. And while I do a precursory research into the making of each season, so I can usually find any obvious commentary on the season itself, there are likely a lot of sort of more obscure bits I miss, and some things I'll say that will end up being proved wrong. I do read comments, and I want to thank you guys who come out with links and such to expand upon the things I already know and have said in videos, and I do want to apologize for anything you guys feel was important that I might have missed. Down to it. Season 6 was a trip, though. I find it honestly to be my least favorite season in the show in general, so it isn't off to a great start for me, but then changing showrunners is a rough transition, so it makes a sort of sense. I think my real problem with this season was the fact that the bad guys were so ill defined and the stakes were not driven home and repeated ad nauseum at the same time. Cass is working with Crowley to crack Purgatory open to defeat Raphael because he would let Michael and Lucifer out of the cage, and Cass outright says that that is what Raphael plans in episode 3, but we sort of don't get it. The season looks like Eve is going to be the big bad, but she's so sort of boring, I don't care about her, and Cass is so freaking weird with the, ooh, I rescued Sam from hell, but we're never going to address this. Like, I guess he doesn't fess up because Sam's been praying for a year, and therefore Cass doesn't want to just be like, oh yeah, I had answers, but I just decided not to for, reasons. There were, of course, gems. There always are. Lisa, for example. One day I'll break it down, but I fucking love Lisa, and her and Ben's story arc on this show is, in my opinion, great. But on a whole, this season fell really flat for me. It just really feels like they made a master list of key points and then just distributed their episode assignments to 20 different writers and then collected their scripts and filmed them without ever doing another pass to make sure the season felt like, the same story. But whatever. Let's look at these two losers. Cass doesn't show up till episode 3 of this season. We all know that Dean and I share a more profound bond moment. I don't think it's doublespeak at this point, but I do think it's just on the cusp of Cass catching on to the fact that he cares a lot about Dean. I think it's of note that Cass admits that he's spent very little time actually inhabiting his human form on Earth in the last year. He's abrupt, and for Dean, who is still a little spun out about getting dragged back into the life, it's very off-putting to him. He's used to the more compassionate and loyal Cass of last season. This Cass is a soldier, and Dean doesn't respond well to it.
Just because we have some sort of a bond or whatever.
You think I came because you called? I came because of this.
Oh, well, it's nice to know what matters.
It does help one to focus.
The sort of quip about priorities is of note, I think. Cass isn't dropping things to come to Sam or Dean because he knows his priority. It's to finish what Dean started, to stop the apocalypse once and for all, keep that cage closed. So his priority is solid, though you'll find as time goes on and he spends more time with Dean, that sort of muddies again. He struggles to keep on that warpath and ignore Dean's in-the-moment requests. Cass does sort of lay it out a bit of the situation, but I wonder how differently this season could have gone if Dean and Cass just talked for like 5 freaking seconds and Dean actually knew how bad it was up there, because frankly, given the stakes and the fact that they don't really have any weapons that could take out an Archangel, they probably would have ended in the exact same spot, but it would have been 10 times more watchable if Sam and Dean were actually, tuned into this apocalypse front. That's my thing. This is an entire season where the real apocalyptic threat isn't actually being addressed by the main characters. They're like plot adjacent. It's just weird. Whatever, I was ignoring that. Moving on. Side bit, I do like Cass just yanking Dean's arm to use his blood for the ritual. Probably the only person other than Sam who could do that and get away with it. A small nod to the level of trust he still has in Cass. Also, this is absolutely the moment Balthazar realizes that Cass cares way too much about Dean. I also like that after that sort of moment, Balthazar does address Dean and Cass equally. Then Cass comes back in episode 6. It's finally Dean and Cass alone, and this one scene has so much substance. Dean is angry because he's been calling for Cass for days to help with Sam, and Cass is regretful he couldn't come sooner. Cass is trying his best to act more human and trying to pacify Dean slightly by pouring him a drink. It's so sad isn't the right word, but I don't know what is the right word. They're both sort of desperate. Dean is desperate for Cass to just be like he was, and Cass is desperate for Dean to understand, and they're just sort of heartbroken. In the next episode, Dean has called Cass to help him figure out what's going on with Sam, and Cass finally realizes his mistake, though I think he suspected long ago something was wrong, watching Sam not go put Dean out of his misery. My theory is that's why he didn't admit to it, because he was sort of like, that obviously isn't going great. I don't really want my name on that. I just, I just, I feel like this episode's crap. If at the time they wrote it, they knew Cass got Sam out of the cage, what are they doing? Was that an afterthought? Because sure, Cass probably didn't know Sam's soul got left behind, but would he be so open about asking Sam if he has any leads on who brought him back? It seems a little too smooth a lie for, Cass. And that's another thing. Cass fought through hell to get Sam. Like, I know he was all freshly powered up by God or whatever, but solo? It took an army to get Cass to Dean, and again, he wasn't half so locked away as the cage. And he did it solo? And if he had that kind of juice then, he doesn't have that kind of juice to go for the soul? And yeah, he feels like it's a bad plan or whatever, but to just blanket say, nah, can't go, seems just out of character. Whatever. Episode 10. I find the whole joke line of this episode with Cass not understanding sexual stuff boring in an otherwise alright episode. I don't care a lot about Meg. That's not true. I like Meg a lot, but I never cared about Cass and Meg's interactions. I didn't think they were great. I didn't think they were terrible. They make a point in this episode to show that Cass has no idea what attraction or intimacy is or means. Meg kisses him to seal the angel blade, and Cass is like, oh shit, wait, I saw something about this on TV. I know what to do, and reacts. And then later, when Dean quips that he would have given Cass some alone time with Meg before she died, Cass has literally no clue what the fuck he's talking about. And that entire thing takes up too much time in this episode. Back to it. I do like Cass and Dean's sort of heart-to-heart. Cass warning Dean that restoring Sam's soul has a good likelihood at either killing him outright or something worse. Not that they really have, an option here. Yeah, your brother is suffering eternal torment down there. Probably should just leave him to it, really. Well, I guess only part of Sam is suffering eternal torment. It's complicated. Whatever. But Cass knows that Dean will never forgive himself if he does it, and it just gets Sam into eternal torment up here, but he is willing to go along with it anyway. Cass and Crowley do a dance of deception. Cass is parting words with them, saying the war isn't going well, and admitting he'd rather be there with them. Dean assures him that he understands, and that's the shit. And then episode 12. What a rough start and interesting turnaround. I know Supernatural is pretty hot and cold with them, but given that episode 10 ended with Cass saying, Sam, I will find a way to help you replace your soul, to then instantly be mad at Dean for replacing his soul is super fucking weird, but okay. French Mistake didn't have a lot going on between them. It was Balthazar's plan to send him off as a decoy, probably because it'd be super believable that Cass would give them the key, but Cass admits he'd do the same, and Dean is pissed, and Cass tries to be all we can't let Raphael win, and Dean is all, I know what the stakes are, and it's sort of Do you know what the stakes are? Because they're repeated every 3 episodes, and you seem like you're being kind of a pain in the ass if you actually fucking got it, but okay. Episode 17. This is where it's clear where Cass's priorities are.
Balthazar has a weapon that will work against her.
Of course he does, yeah. Well, that guy's just got it covered, doesn't he? You need new friends, Cass.
I'm trying to save the ones I have, Dean.
Apocalypse is one thing, and he needs the souls, but it's not worth it to him putting Sam and Dean at risk. At the end, Cass's entire plea asking Dean to understand that the fight for free will was what he started and is the most important thing. He addresses both of them, but his eyes are locked on Dean. And then we're not addressing Frontierland much. Time travel mechanics in the show give me headaches. Notable highlights: Cass's lieutenant was basically right that they don't understand this war, and they do only call Cass this season like when they need something and offer very little help for him. Not that they could help. Oh, God. Cass comes for Dean's call anyway, despite the war. But then we get into Mommy Dearest.
Why's it always gotta be me that makes the call, huh? It's not like Cash lives in my ass. The dude's busy. Cash, get out of my ass.
I was never in your...
Sam and Bobby almost certainly having far more of a clue about Dean's growing feelings for Cass than either him or Cass. They're probably almost certainly endlessly amused by this exchange. This episode reads so much better than the others. Cass and Dean's interactions actually feel like Cass and Dean's interactions, like something that might happen in Season 5 or Season 7. Much more natural. Cass is once more the perfect foil for Dean's humor.
What kind of doctor calls the CDC and then goes AWOL the very next day? Oh, what kind of doctor calls the CDC and then stashes the gooey corpse in the shed?
I don't understand what's happening here.
Cass also starts to finally give off the indications to them that something is wrong. He's overly calloused about Sam and Dean taking the kids home, but isn't quite stingy enough to get on Dean's radar. By the end of this episode, Bobby and Sam are pretty sure that Cass is working with Crowley, but Dean for sure isn't. He even gives Cass comfort, saying Crowley is crafty and probably just found a way. And then The Man Who Would Be King is a weird episode. Just in that it feels like an episode that is written once you're more than halfway through the series and you realize that you have too many loose ends to tie off, and you're all like, oh no. Cass could have done that too, and, let's just give him a block of narration and fix all those mistakes. He could have done it all. But this episode was the one for me. Up until this episode, I hadn't been sold on Destiel. Hints, sure. But something about this episode really changed my mind. The lengths Cass went through to keep Dean not only safe, but the fact that he didn't go to Dean because he cared so much about his cause and his happiness. And then him protecting Dean from Crowley, and then on the opposite side, Dean refusing to believe that Cass has betrayed them, and how happy he is to feel like it's proven that he was right and Cass didn't. And then 2 seconds later, how fucking hurt he looks when it turns out that Cass has betrayed them. Then their entire conversation in the fire, and then when the demons are coming, Cass sends them away, because obviously he does, but Dean pausing in the doorway and locking eyes with Cass, that look, the shit. That is the shit. It would compound from here, of course. Cass is too close to the finish line and he can't see anything else. This is also where everyone else is aware of how close they are. Crowley is begging Cass to stop bending over backwards for Dean, and Bobby and Sam are begging Dean to entertain the idea that Cass is working with Crowley, and neither of them can foresee an event where the other would turn on them.
What'd you tell him? Nothing, all right? Told him we were on some crap monster hunt. He doesn't know that we're getting close to Crowley. You know, he's our friend. And we were lying to him through our teeth.
Dean,
So he burned the wrong bones. So Crowley tricked him.
he's an angel.
He is the bulky Bartocamus of heaven. He can make a mistake.
Look, nobody's saying nothing yet.
You think the Cass is in with Crowley? Crowley?
Look, I'm just saying I don't know. Now, look, I hate myself for even thinking it, but I don't know.
In the end, Dean pleads with Cass to stop, begs him to just do it because he asks, and honestly, I think any other time he probably would have worked. But Cass knows his priorities.
I want you to understand.
Believe me, I get it. Blah, blah, Raphael, right?
I'm doing this for you, Dean. I'm doing this because of you.
Because of me. Yeah. You'll be kidding me.
You're the one who taught me that freedom and free
You're a
will.
friggin' child, you know that?
And then Cass pleads with God to give him absolution, to tell him he is doing the right thing, because the only person who he trusted to give that opinion just told him he is wrong, and he is doubting himself pretty hard. Then, in episode 19, Cass is desperately trying to hold on to a situation as it falls apart faster than he can react to. Dean, who hasn't ever before Cass trusted a single person completely outside of Bobby, Sam, and his father, is entirely thrown by this betrayal. He doesn't see the fact that Cass is doing it for him, that this is actually probably the only way of stopping Raphael and averting the apocalypse. The fact that, given previous and future events, if Cass had come to them, they probably would all four be working with Crowley right now for the same reason. But Dean sees that Cass has been lying to them, and Dean sees Cass working with the man who just kidnapped Lisa and Ben, the woman he loves and the boy he considers a son. It doesn't matter, Cass actually doesn't know where they are, there's no trust left. In the end, of course, Cass comes to Dean, and he fixes Lisa and tries to mend the damage done by Crowley. And then Dean knows that even though they are on opposite sides of this fight, and will continue to be, that he can ask for something from Cass, and Cass will do it for him, and so Cass wipes their memories. And then, of course, the finale. But Cass is also, as previously mentioned, blinded by the finish line. He needs to finish this, and he knows Dean is too close, so he knocks Sam out of the game to pull Dean out with him. The fact that Dean ever even looks at Cass with anything other than hatred, with any intent other than to kill him after that, is the biggest testament to their bond. Because Cass just hurt Sam severely, and sure, intended to fix it later, but that's a huge gamble and also not really the point. He does still think he's doing the right thing. He attempts to cut Crowley out of the deal, making sure he doesn't become, far more powerful than he is presently. While Sam is sidelined, Dean and Bobby come to try to save the day, and hold up for a second, completely off the point, it's a goddamn wonder they survived this. 67 Impala? There's no B-pillar to keep the roof from crushing down on them, or from this angle, the car from crushing down on them. It's hard to flip a car like that, but once you do, they tend to pancake a bit. Not to mention the lack of wearing seatbelts, unless they dug out and clicked on their lap belts in that time. Still, pancakes. Whatever, not the point. I find it interesting to watch this exchange. It sort of is the complete end cap to how the show felt. Dean shows up here, sure, him and Bobby both, but they affect no change in this episode whatsoever. In the whole episode. The season finale, and they do nothing but show up. Dean watched Cass show up and smite Raphael. Sam tries to take him out, and it doesn't work. They're just there to watch. This is the end, though. The power has already corrupted Cass, and he doesn't really care about Dean in this moment. Dean has no idea what his emotions are. His expressions aren't all fear, though. He has a good helping of concern thrown in there, too, in spite of everything.
Listen to me. Listen. I know there's a lot of bad water under the bridge. But we were family once. I'd have died for you. I almost did a few times. So if that means anything to you, please. I've lost Lisa. I've lost Ben. And now I've lost Sam. Don't make me lose you too.
Dean's face when Sam thrusts an angel blade through Cass's back, even knowing things are off the rails. And then, of course, the cliffhanger, because this episode really is sort of part one in a two-parter that finishes in season 7. So yeah, this season had all sorts of ups and downs with them. Season 7 has a lot more meat now that I think it's been pretty well established that they have a bond. We'll be diving into that in about a week. Meanwhile, the video on John is going to be up and running soon, and in new news, I have an email now. I probably won't check it every day, and I won't be promising to reply to people there, but if you guys want to send video ideas or anything else that you don't want to leave in the comments, I'll happily open the floor for you guys to reach out. It's bobbertwes@gmail.com. I also have a link in the description to my Ko-fi page. I preview title cards and upcoming video titles there and the like, so it's worth a look even if you can't donate. Ko-fi is a website where viewers can support content creators by donating the average price of a cup of coffee, $3. My current goal is to finish updating my audio equipment, followed by updating my software to something that might only crash 3 or 4 times per video edit. And beyond and beside all that, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week with part 6 of this crazy ride.